Hi, I'm Dana, and I've been very honest with you guys and very upfront and tried to make it very clear that I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not all that bright, I'm not particularly clever. I'm a college dropout. I didn't even get A levels. Like, I am not a smart person at the best of times. My brain isn't the quickest. I struggle to have a concept and grasp on things. I am not a bright person, okay? That being said, I'm an autistic person that has built up some level of a platform online based off the fact that I'm autistic. And just based on that, I already feel like my channel is a political place to be, quite frankly. I've had a handful of comments that are like, oh, I unfollowed you because I saw how political you are on this other platform. And I feel like I say enough in my videos that you should be able to get a grasp of where my political standing is. But that being said, politics is going to absolute shit. So I'm making a political video, we're making a politics video. And I say all of that because I think most of my videos are already political just from the fact that I'm sitting here being like, hi, I'm Dana and I'm part of a minority, I'm disabled. You know, like, especially given the current political climate around disability within the UK, I feel like that's just already a political thing to be saying online at this point. Especially with like the RFK, I think it was, stuff in America as well. Look, yeah, I can barely grasp fucking UK politics. I'm definitely not fully keeping up with the US stuff. But I do try my best to be politically aware and to keep up with like the general happenings of the world. Yeah, I sign a lot of petitions, I attend protests in person when I feel able to. I put a lot of effort and thought into who I vote for every time votes come around, that kind of thing. I try to do the little things that I can as a person on the day-to-day, you know? But the fact of it is I also have a YouTube channel where each video tends to get at least like 700 views. And in the grand scheme of YouTube, that's not a lot, I know. But in the scheme of like people listening to what I have to say, that's a lot of people. And I feel like I should probably utilise that a little bit more when we're getting to the point where trans and disabled people are being attacked by the UK government. And I say it like that because I feel like a lot of how I feel about things and talk about things is very dramatic, and I don't want to like create a hysteria or like over dramatize something that isn't that big a deal. But I do feel like these are big deals. I do feel like the things that are happening in the political world at the minute are things that are a big deal and that are going to impact a lot of people directly who don't deserve to be impacted. So for context, because I haven't provided an awful lot, the system of PIP, which is personal independence payment within the UK, is being heavily scrutinised essentially by the Labour government. It's an additional payment that disabled people are able to access whether they're in work or not. It is not a means tested benefit to receive. You can be working full time and still get PIP. It's based on how your disabilities affect your day-to-day life and the extra money that it takes up. It's just a case of like, living as a disabled person costs more money. Here's the money so that you're not paying that out of pocket because it's not your fault, you're disabled. There is already an extremely dehumanising and humiliating system that you have to go through in order to receive PIP in the first place, and they want to make that more difficult. And there's also, I believe, a lot of cuts that are being considered. Like I said, I'm not the brightest, smartest person in the box. If anything, this is encouraging you to go and look into things yourself, okay? But that is my grasp and my understanding of things. And obviously, as a disabled person who receives PIP, that's actually quite horrifying and really, really fucking scary. As someone who uses it to be able to afford my safe foods, to be able to afford, like, to live comfortably as an autistic person, to accommodate to myself as an autistic person, the idea of no longer being able to access that is very, very panic-inducing and anxiety-inducing. And I have largely, a good part of why I've not made any content about it is that I get incredibly anxious about it and I start panicking. You know, it's not a comfortable thing for me to talk about as someone who is going to be affected by that. And I think the other reason I struggle to make content around this kind of thing is that it feels extremely useless to sit here and be like, I'll link a petition down below. But like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do anything, you know? I don't know how we as like the people who are not part of the government are supposed to make changes. I show up to protests, I listen to other people speak, I try to support the people that I see making a difference and actually doing stuff because I don't have a fucking clue, okay? So I will link a petition down below. I will also link you to the Crips Against Cuts Instagram account because they've they organised the process that I went to. They're organising the future process that I'm going to go to. They've been organising process online for those that aren't able to access ones in person. That's the kind of account that you should be following and listening to and looking up to, not me, you know? But also, like, I personally, as an autistic person, find it very difficult to find those types of accounts and to find the sources of information and to find the places to support to be able to make changes, you know, hopefully. So do that if you can. I also use if you join their WhatsApp, they have like a whole bunch of different resource chat type things. So I used different templates that they have to be able to send emails to my local MPs, things like that. It feels useless. I feel useless sitting here sending little emails on my laptop. I don't know what else there is to do, you know? If you have other suggestions, please do leave them down below. Like, I would genuinely love a discussion about like ways to further like make changes and try to protest against things that I disagree with and things like that. And I think it is vital that we do it as a community as much as possible, and not even like an autistic community or the disabled community. I mean, like, as the people that are getting fucked over by billionaires' decisions and things like that, you know? The people that are completely out of touch with how much it costs to buy a loaf of bread or a pint of milk. And alongside that, one that does affect me personally a little less is that the UK, like, I believe it's the Supreme Court. Again, I'm not bright, I'm not clever. I thought the Supreme Court was just an American thing. Oh, just got spit on my face. I think it was the UK Supreme Court. Our government essentially has decided that trans women aren't legally women and they don't get to access women's spaces, and it doesn't matter if you have like a gender reassignment certificate, which I think it's called, which changes your gender on your birth certificate, I believe. Like I said, I do not know very much about this kind of thing, but I do know that as a woman, I've never felt in any way threatened or upset or, you know, anything negative from the fact that trans women exist and are women. And I think it's very, very strange and very, very uncomfortable and misogynistic and just all around fucking dodgy as shit that our government has made this decision. It's a massive step backwards for the LGBTQ plus community. It's a massive step backwards for women on the whole. To see women celebrating this as some sort of step for feminism is so fucking bizarre to me. And I just feel quite strange living in a country where we're having a cost of living crisis, we're having a housing crisis, and we're either in or about to enter a recession. Food prices are fucking insane. Poverty is absolutely insane. I was reading stuff the other day that was saying that like 1 in 6 children in Liverpool don't have a bed. There is bed poverty within one of the biggest cities in the UK. Like, kids are going fucking hungry. Homelessness is on the up. There's so many fucking homeless people. Like, we have so many issues that you could be tackling that would help the general population, that would help individual people, that would be helpful to the economy and to society and to the general population. And we're deciding that trans women don't get to count as women, even if they go through the effort of getting a fucking certificate. You're already making it incredibly difficult for them to get gender affirming care. To get any fucking sort of medical care within the UK feels like an absolute uphill battle at the minute. But yeah, sure, let's go after trans women. That's the case that we should be tackling. That's the thing that we should be spending hours debating in courts. How a trans woman chooses to identify, how a trans woman chooses to do fucking anything has never affected me. I've never had a trans person's life affect mine in any way other than like having the odd trans friend, you know? And then it's like, oh, you had a positive effect on my life and I like you as a person. Like, why is that the thing that we are focusing on? Why is that, like, that's the thing that I feel like the vast majority of the population isn't fucking focusing on trans people until the government does. Why is the government focusing on like retracting the fucking rights of trans people, you know, and being like, oh well, they're still under the Discrimination Act, and it's like, yeah, but you're still gonna have men strip searching trans women. That's fucked up and weird. Like, that's not protecting anyone. You're more likely to traumatise the fucking trans woman. And quite frankly, the man doing the strip search is either a fucking creep that's enjoying it or some way, or also isn't having a fun fucking time, would probably rather someone else did it. Like, it's such a ridiculous thing to be choosing to go at right now, like, given the current political climate. And again, it's not something that I really know what we're supposed to do, you know? I will leave some petitions down below that I've also signed that are like, in support of like funding care for trans people and like generally trying to be helpful towards the trans community. I don't know what else to do. Like I said, I feel incredibly useless just signing petitions, but like I mean, at the very least, I can do something like this and a few extra people sign the petition, you know? Like, I don't feel like there's any more I can do, you know? But, you know, like, I do think it's important to not stay silent. And, you know, as much as, like, it's one of those things where, like, obviously the disability stuff affects me personally, it affects me directly. And I, obviously, for that reason, have a bit more, like, fucking heart and soul in the race. But I also, it's the whole, like, there's a term that we've come up with, isn't there? Like, an over empathy thing. Like, there's so many issues that we're supposed to care about all of the time, and it's a drain, it's fucking tiring, it's exhausting, and that's why it is obviously important to find a balance. And that's where, you know, obviously, as I feel you've seen in this video, I get pretty down about the state of politics and I get angry about the state of it all, and that's when I'll sit and I'll fill out my petitions, or I'll find a local process that I can go to and things like that, so that I know that it's not going to, like, change the fucking world, but it's the whole thing of, like, I can't change the world. I might be able to change this little bit of it that I inhabit and do my best to, like, make that a nice space and make that a nice place to be. You know, I can't be the loudest voice, but if we all put our voices together towards stuff, then that gets really loud. I'm not a fucking motivational speaker, obviously. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not an activist. I don't know what the fuck we're meant to be doing. I just know that the political climate and the political routes that are happening right now are ones that I am deeply uncomfortable with. They look really dodgy to me. I don't like them. I don't agree with them. I don't think it's the things that we should be focusing on, and I don't think it's the things, like, when we do focus on them, I don't think we're focusing on them in the correct direction. I don't agree with the moral and ethic things that are happening. I do think that it's against human rights. I think it's really fucked up, and as much as I don't want to be dramatic about it, I think it's absolutely fucked, and therefore I do feel like it's important to talk about, even if I feel quite deeply uncomfortable doing so and very nervous to post this. So that's the roundup. That's what I have to say about these topics right now. And again, as I was saying with, like, the whole, like, I don't think I've gotten the right term. There is a term, I don't remember it, but, like, the over empathy thing is, like, now that I've done that, I feel like I'm immediately thinking of, like, 7 other things that are happening in the world. God, I don't know what that was. But, like, it's Otis. I'm immediately thinking of multiple other things that are going on that I'm like, I should bring attention to that, I should tell people to sign this. And it's like, there's so much all of the time, and I'm just one little person, you know? We're all just one little person, but, like, together hopefully we can do more. And I'd like to have the discussion in the comments of, like, what we can do as people, as individuals, as groups, you know? If there's, like, obviously I only mentioned Crips and Cuts because, like I said, I find it difficult to find those sorts of resources, so I will link those down below. But if anyone knows any other sources for things like protest petitions, generally what's happening in the world and the things we can do, I would really appreciate that. Like, I think we're real quick to be like, educate yourself, and personally I found it very, very difficult to do so, and I've done my best, and I've gone out and tried to educate myself where I can, but I think actually sharing resources and sharing the information and helping to educate each other would actually be a really nice thing right now, and is kind of vital to humanity. So I'm gonna go now. That is the video. I don't want to promote myself, it feels weird. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you can have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year. And as horrible as it all is, I have hope and faith that as a society we will do something about it, because we all deserve better, I guess. Fingers crossed. Best of luck to you.